Monday, November 21st, 2022, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So today we're going to look at the big shift, in my opinion, from the period of the Great Moderation to a period of stagflation or an inflationary period. And we're going to look at how we might be able to profit from this environment. It's a very tough environment for investors. If you look back to the late 1960s to early 1980s, the stock market, as per the Dow Industrial Average, was in a range. It didn't really do much. Inflation ate away at investors' returns. Inflation ate away at the value of bonds. And I've spoken about this several times, as a lot of you know, that I've been seeing this shift coming. I've got a couple of videos up in the cards if you want to watch, and in the description about the subject of how the secular bull market in bonds that we had from 1981 till, in my opinion, 2021 is finished. And what that means is that it's going to be a lot harder to borrow. Credit won't be as abundant, and hard assets, precious metals, commodities will become more important in relative terms. And if we look back at the stagflation of the 1970s, well, gold and silver, the miners and commodities were the best performers. They were the place to be in terms of protecting one's savings. And I think we're going into such an environment. And recently at the Precious Metals Summit in Zurich, last week actually, and I was there, as some of you know, Pierre Lassonde spoke about this. And this is what he had to say to the Kitco Mining reporter.
Is this inflation, turning back to macro, is this inflation, is this analog to the 70s?
It's very much so. Actually, yesterday at the forum, I was asked that question, and absolutely. So if you look at the 70s, the first phase of inflation, 73 to 75, was the oil embargo, where the oil price went up 10 times, and that hit consumer price at the pump and transportation and everything else. And then inflation subsided, and then the second wave of inflation was 76 to 1980, which was wage inflation. It will be impossible to bring inflation back down to 2%. And the real rate of interest is going to stay negative right through the next 4 to 5 years.
So yes, and I know in the last couple of years, especially in the last 12 months, precious metals and commodities have had the headwind of higher interest rates. But I've said many times before that you had rising interest rates in the 70s, and gold and silver did well, and commodities did well. Recently, Alistair MacLeod wrote for King World News, and he noted that in February 1972, for example, gold was trading at $85 a troy ounce. The Fed funds rate was at 3.3%. And then by January 1980, gold had reached $850 per troy ounce. And guess where the Fed funds rate was? Well, it was at 13.82%. So interest rates went up by 10%, the Fed funds rate, and gold became a 10-bagger from 85 to 850. And I think we're on the cusp of such a move. I'm not saying it's going to happen overnight. As Pierre Lassonde said, he's looking for negative real interest rates for the next 4 to 5 years. And why is that happening? Well, because during the Great Moderation, economic growth and globalization helped governments and corporations write off the debt, and also the fact that interest rates kept going lower. They could always refinance the debt, and also lower rates and yields made the assets that people borrow to buy become worth more. So where we're going now is a period where the reverse is going to happen. It's going to be really difficult. And that's why governments have to inflate away the debt. And how do they do that? Well, they pay you 3% while they inflate it 6, 7, 8, 9%. And that's why I think it's more important than ever to be in the precious metals space, in commodities. Of course, I personally think that, at least for me, the most important part of my savings is to have the physical gold and silver. That's like a base for everything. It's like Exter's pyramid. But if you want to look at more speculative play, you go to the mining sector. It's like playing with options, I would say. And of course, there are explorers, there's producers. And today, though, we're going to look at a company that is nearing production, a small company. And it's a company I've recently partnered with. It's called Zacatecas Silver. So before I start and look into the four major points that make Zacatecas Silver an interesting proposition, I like to say that this is not investment advice, and that you should do your due diligence on any company or any project that you put some of your hard-earned savings into. So the first important point about Zacatecas Silver, well, it's about management, and this is one of the things one of the mining executives that I met in Zurich told me. You always need to know about the management, if they have the track record. Well, with Zacatecas Silver, you've got a proven entrepreneurial team of mining executives. The CEO of Zacatecas Silver is Brian Slasarchuk. He's brought in a team from K92 Mining. Brian Slasarchuk was one of the co-founders of K92 Mining. He took that company through all the steps and into production and into cash flow. K92 Mining is one of the big mining successes of the last 10 years. It went from being a company worth around 40 million in market cap, and right now it's worth $1.2 billion in market cap. It employs 1,600 people. As you can see here, it's done better than Tesla in the last 5 years, better than Amazon, Bitcoin, ServiceNow. So basically, with Zacatecas Silver, you've got the opportunity, or the management there has the opportunity to recreate or replicate and potentially surpass the success of K92 Mining. Zacatecas Silver market cap right now is just under $40 million. So that's the first important point. The second important point, I would say, is that there's been a lot of insider buying, heavy insider buying of the shares. Brian Slasarchuk has bought 500,000 shares since April. He owns 4.5 million shares. Recently as well, there's been a 20 million funding round, and all the management was involved. And interestingly, that funding round was done at $1.10 Canadian. And right now, it's trading below 70 Canadian cents. So there's heavy insider buying. It means they have faith in the project. And to the third point now, the third point is to do with gold, of course, and the Esperanza Gold project. And what is the Esperanza Gold project? Well, it's the project that Zacatecas Silver bought from Alamos Gold. And Alamos Gold, some of you might know, is one of the biggest gold mining companies in the world. It's in the top 20, as you can see here. It's worth $3.5 billion. They had this project that was inactive in Mexico. And they had so much faith in Brian Slurchak that they took most of the payment for selling this project to Zacatecas Silver in shares of Zacatecas Silver. They took very little cash for the project, and the shares are going to be paid in installments as Esperanza Gold project graduates into eventual production. That's how they're going to get paid. So Alamos Gold, one of the biggest gold mining companies in the world, they know that Brian Slurchak and his team that built K92 Mining, that they could replicate the same thing with Zacatecas Silver, and that's why they've shown so much faith in the company. They own 12 million shares. So the Esperanza Gold project is one of the highest grade undeveloped oxide gold projects in the world, having a resource in excess of 1 million ounces. And just a note here, this is historic, but the company is in the process of upgrading this historic resource to a 43101 compliant resource. So the fourth and final point about Zacatecas Silver, well, I told you about Alamos Gold. They spent about $30 million drilling at Esperanza Gold project, and with Zacatecas Silver being worth about $36 million in market cap, you're basically just paying for the drilling. And the kicker here is that Zacatecas Silver has a great silver project as well. And guess who invested in that project and invested even before Zacatecas Silver bought the Esperanza Gold project? Well, it was Eric Sprott, one of the most successful mining investors, executives in the last 20, 30 years or so. So there you go. That's Zacatecas Silver. Again, I urge you to do your due diligence. And yes, this might not be for you. It's highly speculative. There's thousands of these projects out there, and not many of them really become successful. But I think with the management team that they have, with the track record that they have at K92 mining, it could be a good speculation. And I'd like to thank also Zacatecas Silver for partnering with my channel. For the viewers, I'm going to leave a link to Zacatecas Silver website and their corporate presentation below in the description. So with that, I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.